Hi, I'm Vicki Swales. I work for RSPB Scotland, where I'm head of our land use policy team, and we're here today at the RSPB's Loch Leven Reserve in Kinrossshire, here to talk about nature and farming. Nature should be at the heart of farming because the two things are really intimately linked. It's not possible to farm without paying really close attention to nature. In order to produce food, farmers need healthy soils, they need clean air, they need adequate water resources, and they need a stable climate in which we can grow crops and rear livestock. So the two things really have to go hand in hand. There are lots of things that farmers can do on their farm to help nature, and we know that already lots of farmers and crofters across Scotland are doing a lot. But nature's in real trouble, and we need all farmers and crofters everywhere to do more to help nature. So the sorts of things we're thinking about are the non-farmed habitats, so not the crop, not the grasslands, but things like hedgerows and field margins, areas of copse and scrub, bits of woodland on trees. All these are really important wildlife habitats. And as a general rule, there's this idea that if every farm had at the very least 10% nature-rich habitat on their farms, then they'd be doing a great deal to help lots of different kinds of species. So the sorts of things I'm thinking about are some of our seed-eating birds, some of our woodland birds, some of our waders like lapwing and curlew, birds which have really declined in recent years as a result of changes in land management and changes in agriculture. But it's not just birds, it's our insects, it's pollinators, it's mammals, it's a whole raft of things, wildlife that's really in trouble, but which farmers can do things to help. So that's everything from the way in which they manage their soils, the way in which they graze their grasslands or moorlands when we're thinking about upland farming, and the way in which they manage those landscape features like hedgerows and the field margins and the ditches and waterways. Ponds are another great thing. Water features, wet features on farms are really important for wildlife. I think there are three main ways when we think about how can we better help farmers and crofters and support them in delivering for nature. So the first thing is that we need to get the farm support system right, the payments that goes to farmers. There's about £650 million of public money spent supporting agriculture each year. But a lot of that money isn't really targeted at helping farmers take action for nature and for climate. So that's the first thing, is to get that financial support system right. But farmers also need more help in terms of information and advice and training to help them think about nature and climate-friendly farming methods and what every farmer can do to take more action for nature. And we know that farmers do rely a lot on advice and on advisory services, and those need to be better informed and better targeted towards nature. And I think the third thing that we need to help farmers really deliver for nature is through the supply chains and the markets. We need the supermarkets and the people, the buyers of food, to pay farmers a better price for farming in nature-friendly ways. A stable climate is a really important factor in thinking about the long-term sustainability of food production and farming, and it's really important for nature. Climate change is already having an impact on all those things. We've seen more extreme weather events, we've seen droughts, we've seen floods, and all those things make it really difficult to farm and to produce food, and they make it challenging for nature as well. So drought, for example, reduces crop yields. It can also stress livestock, cattle and sheep, pigs and poultry. The temperatures are too hot. So we need it neither too hot nor too cold, or too wet nor too dry. But unfortunately, with climate change built in, that's what we're seeing at the moment. And farming's in a position where it can really help. But it's both the source of a problem when it comes to climate change, but it's also part of the solution. So there are a lot of greenhouse gas emissions associated with agriculture, but the way in which farmland is managed can also act as a carbon store, sequestering and storing carbon and helping us tackle that problem of climate change. So it's really, really important that as we think about food security, food production, but also what nature needs in terms of a stable climate, making sure that we get all of that right and take action now for climate change is vitally important. RSPB Scotland is part of the Farm for Scotland's Future campaign, And through that campaign, we're calling for at least 3/4 of the farm support budget in Scotland, that's £650 million, to be directed to supporting nature and climate friendly farming, for helping Scotland's farmers and crofters take the action necessary to help nature, to help climate, but also fundamentally to underpin sustainable food production going forward, and making sure that we do all those things together. At the moment, about 80% of that money is handed out as payments that aren't doing that, with most of that money going to Scotland's very big farms and some of the better quality land. But that money isn't directly tied back to delivering for nature and climate, and ultimately it's not delivering for lots of Scotland's farmers as well. This system really fundamentally needs to change, and the Scottish Government has an opportunity to do that right now. There's an agriculture bill going through the Scottish Parliament, and the Scottish Government is making plans now to change the farm support regime and to deliver regenerative and sustainable agriculture. That's what it says it wants to do. It needs to direct the money in the right places to make sure that that's a reality.